everybody, I'm Liz and it is time for another Top 5 Wednesday video. Top 5 Wednesdays is an amazing Goodreads group. I'll link everything down below to check it out. It gives you a topic and you pick 5 books, movies, whatever that really fit each topic, and today is the best mashup ever of the two things I love the most, and that is books and video games. So this week's topic are the top 5 books that you want to be made into a video game, that you can really see being in a video game. And while I was picking my books, I ended up with 6 instead of 5 because I couldn't narrow it down any further. And I really thought of past video games that I have played, and it really helped me make that decision of which books to place in a video game format. And so I had a lot of fun coming up with these 6 books. The first book series, really, that I came up with and I felt like just it immediately came to my mind was the Illuminae Files by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff, especially the first book, Illuminae. When I thought about it, I immediately thought about Resident Evil and how it's a survivor horror and you have all these strategies to try to keep yourself alive. And I just felt like this is so perfect because not only are you in space, so it's a sci-fi, the ship you're on is being overrun by these crazed virus people, and so I feel like it's a really great comparison to Resident Evil and just how the book is introduced with all of the media files. I feel like it's just that perfect transition into that video game scheme. The next book I have is Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson, and reading this book, I can really compare it to the Fable video game, which is very much an action role-player game where you have these magical abilities and then you have the choice to be a good person or a bad person as you are going through the Fable world. And I just feel like the types of options and how the game is set up in Fable would be very compatible with the Mistborn storyline, and I just feel like Mistborn would be so great as a video game, so maybe somebody can get on that because that would be so insanely fun. The next book I have is Divergent by Veronica Roth. I feel like that they could turn this into somewhat of an RPG. I really attribute this book to Killzone Shadowfall, not when you get into just doing these tasks and like completing all of these missions, but mostly with the beginning of the Shadowfall story where it's more of an RPG and you're going around trying to make all these decisions and life kind of gets thrust at you. Especially with this, like you could even do somewhat of like a Harry Potter type format where you like get into that initiation and you take the test to see what faction you're going to be a part of and then have to deal with all these tasks based upon your faction, and you can be thrust into the upheavals in the series. And so it kind of sounds really interesting, and I'd really like to see how they separate the book elements into that video game format. Next I have Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. I feel like this book series goes very well with kind of the Assassin's Creed video game style, which is an action adventure stealth type game where you go about, you have these missions that you have to complete, you have to be stealthy, and I feel like I would love to be either one of the main characters in the book, or I could just be a part of the dregs trying to navigate this type of criminal lifestyle and, you know, trying to build myself up from that entry-level dreg to a more top-class dreg like Kaz. So I think it'd be so cool to try to navigate that society, and I feel like the world of Ketterdam would be so fun to just explore. The next book I have is The Immortal Rules by Julie Kagawa. This is another one of those survival horror type games I would attribute it to, but I wouldn't go with Resident Evil. I would go more with Blood Rain because they use swords in this book. There are guns, but Allison prefers swords, and there's a lot of action, and it can start off with Allison, you know, as human, and then gets turned into a vampire, and then now she gets separated from her creator from Canaan and now has to find him and also deal with rabbits, and they're very much like a zombie, so it would be so cool, and I definitely can see this being a video game. The last book I have, it's another serious one. I don't know how it would transition well into a video game, but the world is amazing and I just want to see it visually, and that would be Leviathan by Scott Westerfeld. I feel like the world is very similar to BioShock, especially BioShock Infinite, where you have that steampunk-esque city in the sky. So that would be a really great transition onto the screen. You can definitely play with guns and play with the machinery and the mechanics, and I think it would be just so cool to see Leviathan as a video game and be able to explore that world and that era. So those are the 6 books that I would really love to transition into a video game. Please let me know down below what are some of the books you would love to see as a video game as well. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you stick around, do the like, comment, subscribe deal, and I will see you guys next time. Goodbye!